Hello, it's me, Liz Yuille from Old Sables Craft. I hope you are having a wonderful weekend. Wherever you are in the world, I hope it is treating you kindly and you're having appropriate weather. I say that because I know I have a lot of followers that are in the southern hemisphere, so they are about to go into winter, and of course those of us in the north hemisphere are supposedly in the middle of summer. We do finally in the UK have some half decent summer weather. It's taken a while. When I looked at my weather forecast app this morning, it said it was going to be glorious for the next 10 days. I looked at it about an hour ago and now it says it's going to rain early next week. But, you know, hey, let's take what we can get. So, today I am using a stamp set that I've had for a while. It's now, I think, online only. And it's one of those ones, the turnabouts, where you can use the back and the front to stamp. I don't know why I haven't used it because it's really cute. And I'm going to use it for a gift. I don't know who's going to get the gift, but it's for a gift. And I've already prepared 4 cards and I'm going to show you how to make one of them. And then we're going to make a box in which to put the gifts. So this is a real twofer. So let me flip the camera down. Oh, and I should say I haven't made the box yet, so this could be interesting. As in I haven't done a trial version. So I'm using the Pets and More stamp set. It doesn't say, oh, it's a reversible. It's a reversible. So we've got a cat, a bird. I'm thinking parrot or owl. I've done it as an owl because I wanted to keep to kind of a neutral palette. This to me looks like a fox, and then we've got their backgrounds, and then a dog and a bunny rabbit. You've also got a ball, a paw print, a fish, and a food bowl. And the food bowl really is for either the cat or the dog because it's got that sort of paw print on it. So these are the cards I've already made, and all of these have, you can reverse the stamp. So this is my bunny, which I've stamped in, all of them are stamped in Memento Tuxedo Black using my trick with an uninked ink pad and the Memento refill. I say mine, Lisa Curcio, I think. And for those of you who have asked in the past and may ask today, I think I used between a quarter and half a bottle of ink, but once it's in there, it's lasting. I've not had to top it up, and I've had it for about 6 months now. A long while anyway, and bear in mind I do quite a lot of stamping. So Tuxedo Black, and this is beige, the basic beige, with pool party background, and I've used the oval punch, which is a great punch for just quick punching. Some of the, what do we call it? I brought it down wherever, no I didn't, I only brought down a piece. It is the striped trim, iridescent striped trim. So you only need a little bit because it is sparkly. And then using the Simply Said stamp set, I've just stamped in Pool Party to match, just a note. Then, oh, I've got one missing. Oops, sorry, flying, it's there. Then I've used it as an owl, so, but it could be a parrot or could be anything, frankly. It's a bird with a slightly hooked beak. So I've used Crumb Cake for the background, and again, Pool Party. Same ribbon. The dog uses, let me check which grey Granite for the background, which is why it's that slightly softer, warmer grey. The fox I've used Copper Clay. To begin with, I thought it was stamping too dark, but by the time it dried, I actually liked it. I did do one with pushing the ink back, and it wasn't as nice. So, yeah. So those are the 5 that I've made. I've got 5 envelopes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. So basic white note card. So I've used that stamp set and that stamp set, and I'm going to finish. Oh, that's the one I did. So this is the one I did with the, let's see if I can make it focus. Yay! So this is the one I did with pushing the ink back. Oh, it's trying to not focus now. That's a bit better, I think. But it's a bit stipply, so I went with the original because once it had dried it was perfect. So I've done the cat outline because that's just very basic stamping, and I've now got, so the basic stamping is done with the cat that way up, so with all the stamped bits facing up, as you would expect. But then if you turn it over, and you do need a clean block, I have discovered. Time I cleaned mine, apparently. I've got pecan pie, so this is going to be like a tabby cat. Let's get those out of the way. And I'm just going to ink it up and try and get it really nicely inked. I have rubbed it first so that it takes the ink, and then just line up. And I try to just line up 2 points and then press, and do press really hard so that you know you've got all of that, the back of that stamp onto your card. And there we go. It will lighten. Just saying, it will get lighter. Right, so that just needs to be popped somewhere to clean. While that is drying a bit, I'm going to stamp the outside with Pool Party ink. I've just re-inked my Pool Party a little, not very much. So I'm hoping it's going to stamp cleanly. So just a note. Yes! And I will need that in a moment. So that's the outside done. Let's bring the cat back in. Where did I put the mask? That's a very good question, Liz. Did I put it away? No, I've put it underneath the stamp set. So I've just used some of our masking paper, stamped it. I just happened to use pecan pie because it was at the top of the pile. I would actually highly recommend that you use either StazOn or Memento and make sure it's really, really dry before you then do any inking, because otherwise you can end up with it, with the pecan pie making the Pool Party slightly dirty. Ask me how I know. So it was just dragging the ink. So I've put a bit of sticky on the paper, cat on top, and then just come in, and we're just going for a reasonably solid, but don't go too mad, blend. You can either start in the middle and go out, or from the sides and come in. It doesn't really matter which. What I wouldn't do is ink up and then go onto your card, because what you'll find, I don't know if you can see, is that it actually picks up the brush. So if you just plonk it rather than swirling it, you'll get the stippling from the brush will go onto the card, and it's very difficult once it's there to remove it, because it's always going to be that bit darker. Right, that's all I need. So I can close that, bring my note card back down, lift that up. And it doesn't matter that it's a bit sticky on the back, because we're going to use some Seal Plus. You could use Seal, but I like to go for the Big Mama. And I've got a short piece of that iridescent ribbon. It is, let's measure it. It's 3.5 inches, but I've cut the ends on the diagonal. So from point to point is 3.5 inches. And then just pop that onto your card piece as centrally as you can. It's not that vital if it's not. And then I'm going to add 4 dimensionals, and I'm going to make sure that I overlap the top and the bottom of the ribbon, just to make sure that it's definitely held in place. Then peel the backings off your dimensionals. So this time next week, I will not be, take your mask off the front, always a plan. So yes, this time next week, I will not be a demonstrator because at the end of July, I will officially have resigned. It's not to say I won't be signing up again, because I will. Don't know exactly when yet, but I will be. So we've got our 5 note cards and envelopes. I am just going to do a bit of that because then the dimensionals are spread out more evenly. I've already measured, but just so you know, I've taken an envelope and I've lined it up on my grid paper. The first 1/4 inch of your grid paper I always discount because it goes right into the corner and the 0 starts 1/4 of an inch in. So I've got 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. If you're in metric, you are looking at probably 9 1/2 by 13 1/2. I, however, am using imperial for this. So I need my trimmer and a piece of Pool Party, and I'm using Pool Party because it will then tie in with the ink that I've used. And I need the piece of paper that I've written my measurements on, which is now in front of me. So I need 2 pieces of card cut at 7 1/4 by 5 3/4. So I'm going to do the 7 1/4 this way. So there's a dented end, so let's get rid of that. So 7 1/4, and that's my waist, by 5 3/4, so I can bring that in, which is easier for filming. So 5 3/4, and I should be able to get both pieces out of the one piece of card, and I can. So I now have 2 pieces that are 7 1/4 by 5 3/4. But if you followed me for any length of time at all, I'm doing a lidded box, so I'm going to have a top and a bottom. So I'm going to make the bottom very slightly smaller. So I'm lining up one edge onto the edge of where the cutting groove is. So I'm taking off roughly a 1/16 of an inch, or 1.5 millimeters, roughly. And then I'm going to do the same on a short edge. So I've done a long edge and a short edge, and I'm only doing one long edge and one short edge. Now my box is going to end up 3 3/4 by 5 1/4 by 1 inch. So this is the bottom, this is the top. I'm going to cover the top. So what I'm going to do is just write a T, so I know this is the top. The lid, you could write an L if you prefer L rather than T. And then I am going to get rid of those fuzzies. Need a new blade in my trimmer. Right, so I'm going to score every edge at 1 inch, and I'm twizzling so that I know that these are all 1 inch, because remember, this is no longer 7 1/4 by 5 3/4, it's a 1/16 of an inch smaller than that. This one, technically, you could say is exactly 7 1/4 by 5 3/4, but it's never going to be exact. So again, I am scoring at 1 inch on every edge. Okay. So, bone folder, burnish, burnish. Now, if you don't regularly look at my blog, please do. It will still be going, even when I am no longer a Stampin' Up demonstrator. I've got to take all the Stampin' Up bits off it, but hopefully I'll get that done on one of our wet days. And if you watched my live from Tuesday, either on repeat or actually live. I have now, and I published it on Thursday, I have now done all the measurements for that, including the sizes of paper you need. So do go and have a look at that if you want to make that album. So I am going to cut so that the score is in the square. This is the square. So the score line is in the square, and then I'm going to wedge it out. You will have seen me do this on a number of times. I'm just going to wedge that out as well. And I'm going to do the same on each corner, and I'm doing matching corners rather than doing what I would call a Catherine wheel. And a Catherine wheel would be, if I've done that one, I would then this one do cut up there. Not going to, because that's not what I want. But for smaller boxes, it means you're pushing the bulk into every side rather than to two ends, which then get bulky and can upset how the box works. So yes, I found a really lovely folio mini album on YouTube, and I've credited it. The link is in the description bar and on the blog post page of my website. So if you want to see the original, you can. The original uses 8.5 by 11. I used International A4 because that's what I've got. So I've done, this is the lid. No, it's not, it's the bottom. This is the top because it says D. So that's the bottom. I'm going to do exactly the same with the top. So I'm going to wedge, cut, wedge. Because yes, I've basically lifted somebody else's design, so it's only correct that I give them full credit. I've changed the measurements slightly because I'm using narrower card, but I have explained on my website how to do, if you've got 8.5 by 11 card, how to get the paper the right size. It's very easy. You just add 1/4 of an inch onto the longest edge of each of the measurements that I give. So if it was a 7-inch, you'd do 7 1/4. Because the width of A4 paper card is basically 8 1/4 inches. It's just a lot longer than your 11 if you're in North America. So this is the top. I'm going to keep that flat for the moment, and I'm going to use this. You can either use tear and tape, liquid adhesive, or Seal Plus. Couldn't see it for looking. I'm going to use Seal Plus for speed. Generally I would use liquid adhesive, but as I say, for the sake of speed, I will use Seal Plus. And you want to get it as close to the score line as you can without it being on the score line. Right, so this is the bottom. We want to make sure that we don't add any width. So when you, I'm deliberately holding this back, when you line this up, you want the cut edge on the fold. What you do not want is the cut edge away from the fold, because that will make it a bigger base. It's not what you want. If you want to do anything, you want to go slightly nearer to the middle of the fold. Don't go too far, because then you'll make the box too small. I know, I'm such a... don't get it wrong. But no, seriously, these are the tips that make it work versus not. So cut edge to fold. And then, whatever adhesive you're using, go in with your bone folder and press each of those seams to make sure that it is really properly glued. Now, the moment of truth. will these fit? And they will. It's a lovely snug fit, which is what I like. I don't like anything that's too loose because that then makes everything shake and you can end up with it damaged. Right, so this top piece is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So I want to cover it, and I'm going to use some of the lovely country wood paper. I love this paper and it goes perfectly with this. That said, do I want to give it a little... No, I'm not going to. Right, so if I want this to fit nicely, I am going to take... Ooh, do I risk 1/8 of an inch or shall I go for 1/4 of an inch? I'm gonna be safe. I'm gonna go for 1/4 of an inch off. So I'm cutting this at 3.5 inches. And it's this on the reverse, but I love this crackled, distressed look. So 5 1/4 becomes 5 because I'm taking 1/4 of an inch off. And if we pop that onto our box, it gives us a nice 1/8 inch all the way round. Do I want to risk adding something else? I haven't used anything else consistently on the card, so I think I won't. Now, I like the grain to go in the right direction. So the side of the box is 1 inch. So I'm going to do 1. I'm cutting these at 3/4 of an inch. The top is 5 1/4, so it's 5 inches. So I'm going to cut at 3/4 of an inch on the full piece that I've got left. And the reason I'm doing that is because then this ends up as a bigger piece. Otherwise you can end up with little pieces everywhere. So 3/4 of an inch. This is spare. And then these I'm going to cut to 5 inches, having lined them up first. And that way you know these two are the same size and it all works beautifully with everything going in the right direction. Okay, so we can switch to just ordinary seal now because this is weight bearing, for want of a better word. So I'm putting seal right to the edge of my paper. You don't have to go right to the edge, but do go all the way around, and just for ease, to make sure the middle goes flat, I have run some adhesive across diagonally. Okay. Then, as I say, I like the grain going in the right direction. So I've got wood grain going this way, so I'm going to have it going that way on the sides. I'm just going to add some adhesive to the ends, then down the middle. So it's non-weight bearing, so you don't need to go mad with your adhesive. But again, you could use liquid adhesive if you wish. Don't think you need to go quite as far as tear and tape. So either seal or liquid adhesive. Liquid adhesive does give you that added bonus of wiggle room. So if you're, oh, that was a bit one-sided, let's go down there as well. So if you're a bit worried about positioning, liquid adhesive will give you that extra little bit of flexibility. Each end and down the middle. And again, we're, ooh, does that marry up? No, doesn't matter. Put it this way. That's not terribly straight. Can I lift it up or shall I just leave it? There we go. Because it hasn't kind of set, I've got that little bit of time to pull it up. Obviously, if you were using liquid adhesive, you could just slide it into position. But I wasn't, so I didn't. Right, So now, that's rubbish, so let's put that in the rubbish pile. Seal Plus again. Just be very careful when you use Seal Plus to not delaminate your card, by which I mean, and it's easier to do this on darker cardstock because there's more dye in the wood pulp. If you pull too fast, you can get the layers coming apart, which is not a happy look. Right, so this time, if anything, we want to go just to the edge of our crease line rather than over it at all, because we want to make sure that it's big enough to go over our base. We have allowed a bit of easement. And what you want to do is, if you're, for some reason, this edge and this edge don't quite meet up, you can push this one down as you pull this one up while you're manipulating it into place. And then again, we're going to go and burnish our seams so that we know that those are well and truly stuck. And then, moment of truth. If we look at the back, I mean, these are bowing out a little bit. To get that to stop, we can just squeeze before we put the two bits together. But when they're straight, there's very little wiggle room. So if I take that off and then just encourage them to go in a bit rather than out, and then I put the lid back on, you'll find that it'll be a nice, snug, non-gapey fit. There you are, nice, snug, non-gapey fit. Now you can put a ribbon around that. What you would possibly want to do is use this ribbon. Now I've only got enough probably to go around there on this reel. I do have more because I love this ribbon. But let's just finish it off nicely by tying this in a bow. And then that would make a really nice hostess gift. Sorry, I was just trying to work out which way I was going. It's a little bit short. That was left over right, so this needs to be right over left. No, it wasn't. It was right over left, so it needs to be left over right. Oh dear. I don't have my brain in today. It goes that way. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So I've got a reef knot in my bow rather than a granny knot. Just sits nicer. And then let's peel that off. And I'm going to get long scissors to just cut that at an angle so I don't run out of blade. And there we are. So there we go. Making a card, making a box, decorating a box, all in one video, 29 minutes. Hey. So, I hope you enjoyed that. A thumbs up is always appreciated. If you don't already subscribe and you wish to, you can do that in the bottom right hand corner, and then just click the alert bell and make sure that in your general settings you have allowed notifications to come through. Otherwise, you can click that bell to your heart's content and nothing will happen. You'll just, when you next go to YouTube, you've got a bazillion and one new videos to watch. Rather than actually getting a notification. I will put photographs on my website and the link to that is below. If you want to share the video, you can do that. I would be very happy if you shared it. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave those below the description bar and I will get back to you. As at the point of filming this, I'm up to date. Love it when I'm up to date. So there we go. Have to say we did use quite a lot of ink. and 2 stamp sets and a pack of paper. Sorry. But obviously you could do all of your stamping in just 2 colours. So one for the background of the animal and one for the foreground. So yeah, and if you wanted to put the little icons on as well, then please do. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and I will see you again very soon. I will be live on Tuesday. Don't know what I'm doing on Tuesday yet, but I will be live. So thank you very much indeed, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now. Oh, didn't click end.